Rotation has arrived. Everyone is rejoicing that Gardevoir is gone, Goldengo is gone, but everyone is also sad because there's a bunch of really good cards that have gone. Arven, Nestball, Iono, Countercatcher, Palpad, Stardust Vitality, the list goes on. It's a pretty impactful rotation. So many strong cards have left the game, and also decks have left the game, but the decks that do remain have been adapting and evolving to stay alive in the current rotation. And while decks like Dragapult is still running around, other decks that didn't really have all that much attention, like Lucario, suddenly become really good. Raging Bolt is somehow still a thing, it just plays 4 Crispin now instead of 4 Stardust Vitality. And then there's random other like rogue decks that are popping up here and there. Alakazam is also very, 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 very good because we don't have Iono anymore or any form of hand disruption. The only hand disruption we have is Unfair Stamp, which has now become the ace pick of choice for pretty much every and any deck that can use it. And the deck that I've decided to play for this post-rotation format is Zoroark, because it's the deck that I've been playing for the past couple months now. So why get rid of it when it just becomes even better in post-rotation? So the last time I talked about this deck was EUIC, I think, and since then the deck has gone through a very, very big change because we now have Zekrom, the card that makes the deck actually, competitive and viable. Instead of having to wait for your opponent to hit you, you can just hit. It's so good, it's such a good card, and makes the deck so much better than it kind of already. I mean, the deck was good, but with Zekrom this deck is just even better. And even in post-rotation, I think the deck is a lot better, purely because it's a lot more condensed. And you're not playing just random 1-ofs and random 2-ofs here and there. You'll see as we get into the list, which we're going to do right now. So the standard for Zorua and 4Ns Zoroark. For those of you who don't know what Zoroark does, it has the trade ability, which lets you discard a card from your hand in order to draw 2 cards. Very, very powerful. And it also has the Night Joker for 2 dark energy. Choose one of your benched ends Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So you basically copy the attacks of your other ends Pokemon, and because of that, this deck is a very, very strong toolbox deck because you have a lot of different options. In order to just get rid of your opponent's Pokemon, you can either just flat out hit their active for a bunch of damage, you could do some bench damage, you could do some crazy manipulation where you hit back double damage that you've taken. You'll see as we get into the Pokemon, but we're playing 4 and 4 because not only is this your main attacker, just having it there to draw cards is pretty good. Your ideal board is going to have 2, maybe 3 of these in play just so you can draw through your deck. It's just that good of a card. Unlike other decks where you would play 4 of the pre-evolution and then 3 of the main evolution, maybe 2 if it's something like a stage 2. With this you play a 4 and 4, which does lead to quite a few mulligans. And then for the Pokemon that we are copying the attacks of, we have 2 Darumaka and 2 Darmanitan, as well as 2 Zekrom and the 1 Reshiram. So I've seen lists flip-flop between so many of these different. I've seen some lists play 1 of this, 1 of this. I've seen some lists play a 1-1. I've seen some lists not playing this. This card is still very good. Genuinely play this. Even if you play 1 and 1, it's still a very good card. Darumaka is not important. Darmanitan has 2 attacks, Backdraft, for 2 colorless energy. Keep in mind, we can't attack with this anymore because reversal energy is gone from the format, so you're purely going to be copying attacks with Zoroark from now on. So it has Backdraft, which does 30 damage for each basic energy in your opponent's discard pile. It can be very useful against certain decks, for example Raging Bolt, because they love to discard energy for their attacks. Basically any deck that likes to discard a bunch of energy in order to attack, or does more damage for each energy in the discard. I don't know if there is a card like that, but that type of stuff this card is very, very good against. Ceruledge, that's one that gets damage for each energy in the discard pile. Good against that, good against, again, not Goldengo, Goldengo is not in the game anymore, Raging Bolt, so on. But Flame Body Cannon is even stronger. You discard all energy from this Pokemon, its attack does 90 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon, and it also does 90 damage to the active Pokemon. So in the early game, if you're up against something like Dragapult or any type of evolution deck, you could just take out 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, as long as they don't have Shaman in play, because Shaman can be very annoying for Darmanitan. It just sits there and just takes up bench space, which is something that this deck struggles from a lot, is your bench gets clogged very, very quickly. But yeah, not Backdraft, Flame Body Cannon, Flame Body Cannon is a very good attack in the early game. We'll talk about Reshiram. So Powerful Rage does 20 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So if you take a big hit, you can just hit back for double the damage that you took. And then Virtuous Flame is a flat 170 damage with no downsides, no additional effects. It was the main attack that we were using, but not really anymore. We can still use Powerful Rage against some matchups, like Dragapult. When they smack you for 200, you can just hit back for 400. Like, this card still does come up, so it's worth playing just the one copy of it. But Zekrom is the main threat of this deck now. It has Shred, which does 70 damage, and this attack's damage isn't affected by any effects of your opponent's active Pokemon. So against stuff that has abilities where it can't be damaged by like certain types of Pokemon, this just completely ignores that. Crustle, Cornerstone Mask, Ogapon, those types of cards. Yes, it is going to take multiple hits to KO those types of Pokemon, but you can still KO them and you don't have to play random other Pokemon to get rid of them. But the main attack of this card is Rampaging Thunder. 250 damage, but this Pokemon can't attack next turn. That kind of doesn't matter because we can just swap into another Zoroark and do it again. Or we can just use damage boost to one-hit KO our opponent's Pokemon, and then again, just swap out with stuff like End's Castle, Petrun, and do it again next turn. Like, the downside of not being able to attack comes up very, very rarely if you're like retreat locked or something like that. It doesn't really come up that often. Maybe you don't have a second Zoroark powered up, it can be a bit iffy in that instance, but it's fine, honestly. The card is just like that good and makes the deck so much better. And then for random other stuff, we have the one Badoo because Badoo is Badoo. We have one Monkey Dory because we're a dark deck, so we can make use of its ability to manipulate around damage, and sometimes that 30 damage does add up in fixing your maths for a one-hit KO if you're not able to get there. Petrun, because Petrun is Petrun, it's basically a free switch for one of our Pokemon. It does poison it, but we can use that to our advantage with stuff like Binding Mochi, which makes Rampaging Thunder 290 damage. And then we have the one Meowth, Last Ditch Catch. Once during your turn, when you place Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you can search a supporter card. You know, just search boss for game, search something like Black Belt, just search anything you need really. It's good in the early game to search stuff like Lily, but it does end up clogging your bench if you do end up putting it down early, but as a late game card, this card is very good. One thing I will say, you may notice, no Fez. I'm going to be honest, you kind of don't really need to play Fez in this deck because you're going to have multiple Zoroarks in play, and you know, you just draw cards off of that. And also, as I said before, the bench in this deck, it gets clogged very quickly because you want at least a Zoroark or two, and then you want Petch in play, and you also want Pokemon to copy the attacks of. Then you also want a free bench slot in case you need to put down a Meowth or a Monkey or anything like that. The bench gets clogged very quickly, so I don't think Fez is necessary in this deck anymore. Supporter cards, we have 4 Lily, 3 Cyrano, 3 Boss, 1 Black Belt, and 1 Janine's Secret Art. Lily is the main one. It's good really early in the game. It's also good like late into the game and stuff like that. Cyrano lets us search our deck for free Pokemon EX, so you could search for Petrun, a Meowth, you could search for free Zoroarks if you really need to. Boss's Orders is Boss's Orders, you bring up anything you want. Black Belt increases the damage that our Pokemon do to EX Pokemon by 40. And Janine lets us search our deck where we choose 2 of our dark Pokemon and attach a dark energy from our deck, and if one of those Pokemon was active, it's now poisoned. Another way to get it poisoned for Binding Mochi, and it's also just energy acceleration, but the poison is sometimes what comes up if you're not able to get Petrun in play and you need that extra damage, so on and so forth. Some lists play like Judge, some lists play like just like random other stuff here and there. This is what I am comfortable with. Like, everything here comes up at some point, and even if it doesn't, you can just trade it away and draw 2 cards from your deck. The only annoying thing is we don't have any support recovery, so once like this and this are used, you're never getting them back. It's also another thing with Boss's Orders. Like, if you're having to like trade or like discard cards in the early game, discarding a Boss's Orders can sometimes be kind of bad, but that's why we play free, so on and so forth. Item cards, we have 4 Buddy Puffin, 3 Pokepad, 3 Ultra Ball, 3 PP Up, 2 Night Stretcher, and then our ace pick of choice on Fair Stamp. This is so nice. Like, I love the condensity of all of this. Like, before in old lists we play like one of this, one of this, one of this, one of this. Like, there were so many one-ofs and two-ofs. This just looks so nice. And these especially. But yeah, Buddy Buddy Poffin searches out our Zoroark, which is the main thing we want to get into play. Pokepad is really good in this deck. You can search Zekrom, you can search Munkidora, you can search the Darmanitan or Darumaka. Ultra Ball gets us stuff in the discard like energy, so we can use our PP ups. It also just gets us Pokemon. PP up, attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your ends Pokemon. You know, we sometimes use Backdraft, or maybe we have to discard an energy to, like, draw some cards. Basically, it's a way to get your Pokemon powered up very, very quickly. Night Stretcher is the only form of discard recovery we currently have in the game now. And then Unfair Stamp, because Secret Box just kind of isn't good anymore, because there's not really much to search with it. Plus, having a form of hand disruption in a format where we don't have any hand disruption except this is very, very helpful. Though next set we do get Red Card. Going to throw in a copy of Red Card in this list. Not sure what I'm going to take out yet. Maybe an Ultra Ball, or maybe one of the stadiums, because I am playing a copy of Rocket's Watchtower. But that card can be very good against certain colorless decks. It also stops Meowth, so he does come up in that regard. But I think I'm probably going to take out an Ultra Ball for a copy of Red Card when that releases in the next set, which I've already forgotten the name of. It's the one with Mega Greninja in it. Tool cards, 2 Binding Mochi, increases the damage a poison Pokemon does by 40, so you can very easily slap this on a Zoroark, poison it with something like Janine or Petrarant, and then you're doing Rampaging Thunder for 290 damage. Very, very strong. With a Munkidori move, you can do 320. With Black Belt, you can do 330. Like, it's pretty good. And then Stadiums, 2 Ends Castle, which gives all of our Ends Pokemon free retreat. And as I said before, the 1 Rocket's Watchtower, which does come up against certain colorless decks, and it also does stop stuff like Meowth in the late game if your opponent needs like Meowth for boss. Slap this down. If they don't have a stadium to get rid of it, then they can't use Meowth. It also stops Blood Moon. Blood Moon in the late game can be very annoying for this deck. And then our energy count is 8 Dark Energy. Previously we were playing 7 and like 1 or 2 Reversal Energies, but we can't attack with Darmanitan anymore, so purely Dark Energies, because we can only attack with Zoroark, and 8 is just a very good number. That's like 2 on each one, and then like, you know, maybe you'll have like a spare here and there. It's just a good number to have. And that is it for the deck. Pretty simple. Like, if you know about this deck, you know what it does. If you don't know about this deck, I'm happy that I could show you. This is probably one of my favourite decks. Like, it's just good. Zoroark is one of my favourite Pokemon, so why not play with one of my favourite Pokemon? And also, N Generation 5, like, in case you're new around here, Generation 5 is my favourite generation, so why would I not play a deck based on a Gen 5 character? But yeah, that's it for the deck profile. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you think about N Zoroark, what you think about this post-rotation. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What are you going to be playing? Or are you going to wait until the next set with Mega Greninja? I heard that deck's like alright. Or are you hoping that something else comes out in future sets? I know we have the like leaked announcement of the set afterwards, which I think has Mega Darkrai. Spoilers, by the way. And, you know, maybe that set will indirectly give support for this deck if it's got Mega Darkrai in it. We could get a Dark Special Energy. I wonder what that's going to do. That could be pretty cool. So I'm kind of looking forward to that set, honestly. If it's going to be like a Dark Focus set, that's going to be very, very nice to see the indirect support that this deck could receive. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you think about this deck. I really enjoy it. I've been doing really well with it at locals last week. I went undefeated, 3-0, and then this current week I also went technically undefeated. I got 2 wins and a tie. It's technically undefeated 2 weeks in a row, but the deck is really fun. I really enjoy it, and I just like how condensed it is now in post-rotation. Like pre-rotation, you were just playing like one-ofs here and there and everything. The deck is just so much like nicer now. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that nonsense. Any and all support is greatly appreciated, and you watching this video, take care.